tell you, man, but hey, hear me out. I need y'all to listen to what these doctors and these researchers are saying, man, because they do make some good points. You know what I'm saying? But hey, let's get into this first clip. Basically, this guy showing that they accidentally leaked on BBC, the news source, that COVID had elements of HIV in it, the vaccine. Let's get into it.
Before the virus meets our cells is what triggers the most protective antibody response. So Keith must make the spike protein in the lab, locking it into exactly the same shape by adding another protein that acts a bit like a clamp. And that protein is a tiny fragment of HIV.
Dude, are you... These mother... have been infecting us with HIV, bro? HIV, bro? These rotten mother... Are you... These mother... have been infecting us with HIV, bro? HIV, bro? These rotten mother...
That's crazy, huh? Tell me what y'all think about that in the comments. That's wild. But these other researchers literally broke it down a little more to where we can basically understand why this happened. You know what I'm saying? And what they were trying to do. Now, it's crazy to me that this is the case, you know? And it shows me that, bro, man, the government really don't care about us, bro. Now, this is allegedly. We saying allegedly, but the government really don't give a crap about us, because why did they force people to take this vaccine? Like, forcing people to do it? You know what I'm saying? I literally, at this time, I'm in the military. I got a mortgage. I got to take care of my family. I ain't on YouTube. So they literally said, if you don't take this, you gotta get out. And I wasn't in a financial place to get out then, so I had to take it. I think it's completely wrong, but y'all go check out this clip right here.
Stay in the shoulder, where we all thought it should stay. It goes throughout your entire body. It goes to your brain, to your heart.
So that's two problems. One problem is it isn't where it's supposed to be, ideally.
Where we thought it was, where we thought it was for all the
and the other
previous vaccines.
The other problem, and this is your area of expertise, is that what these vaccines do is they encode spike protein alone, so that the immune system will learn to recognize spike protein and will catch it quickly when one is confronted with COVID. But the spike protein itself, we now know, is very dangerous. It's cytotoxic. Is that a fair description?
More than fair, and I alerted the FDA about this risk months and months and months ago.
And then concentrations are rising conspicuously in two places as we close in on 48 hours. One of them is in the ovaries, where it goes sky high. That's really frightening.
Anybody that's looked at this data says, what?
Yeah, that is a very frightening signal.
And it's the cognitive dissonance between what the CDC says is that this is safe for pregnant women.
Right.
This is perfectly safe, and it's on the CDC website. It's unbelievable.
At some level, it's not safe for women at all. I mean, this is
right.
So before we interpret the data, let's make sure your listeners understand it.
Okay, so the ovaries show a high concentration. For whatever reason, it's ending up in the ovaries preferentially. Yes, the lipid is ending up there. And then the other place that we have a signal, which I think suggests something we need to worry farther down the road. You tell me, Robert, if I'm on the right track here or not. But the fact that it shows up concentrating in bone marrow,
bad news.
Actually, that suggests that you could end up with, now I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I'm saying we need to look for something like leukemias showing up here because of their creation in bone marrow. I know from other work that it also seems to show up preferentially in lymph nodes, which raises the question of whether or not lymphomas might be created. In any case, these are possible long-term effects that we have no way of knowing don't arise because these things have not been injected into people for more than years.
So we have two adverse event signals that are starting to become apparent. My friends at the FDA tell me.
Okay.
One of them is thrombocytopenia. That's not having the platelets.
Okay.
Which are manufactured in the bone marrow.
So right now we're focusing on bone marrow signals. Okay. Thrombocytopenia is one of them. Another one that is very hard to understand that's starting to come up in the database is reactivation of latent viruses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this
Herpes
is
zoster.
shingles. Shingles is an example of that, but there are many others.
Now, what y'all think about that? That's crazy, huh? But that's just the world we live in. That's the society we live in, man. So it's nuts. And this next clip I want to show y'all is that they actually did a test case for the COVID vaccine in Australia. And it's crazy because this vaccine was actually giving people a false HIV positive. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, they discontinued it. They didn't even go forward with the vaccine. And to me, that shows that these vaccines take a while to develop. I feel like when they gave it to us out in America, bro, I feel like they rushed it. Rushed it. You know what I'm saying? But y'all check this out and tell me what y'all think about that.
What had happened is, I want to say by April of 2020, it was clear that the vaccine development program was far more advanced than we ever could have imagined. How could we have actually figured out the neutralizing antibodies and have the sequence to the spike protein and have all that ready to go? We have already figured out how to load it into messenger or adenoviral DNA. How do we actually get that to run? Remember, there are 24 of these platforms. They had all previously failed except for patirisan. A lot of people don't know this. There is a messenger RNA product. I can use that as a cardiologist called patirisan. It's a small interfering messenger RNA that we use to treat amyloidosis. But the previous trials of gene transfer technology, which is what these are, were normally to replace a missing protein. So, for instance, I'm a cardiologist. I treat a condition called Fabry's disease. It affects the heart. There was a messenger RNA program to basically replace the missing enzyme, alpha-galactosidase. But in this case, to take these platforms and say, you know what, these are ready to go. We're just going to insert the code for the spike protein, which is now what we've learned is the lethal part of COVID-19. The ball of the virus, the nucleocapsid, that beach ball, is relatively harmless. What causes all the damage is the spine or the spicule on the surface. Everyone knows a cartoon of the virus. That's called the spike protein. 1,200 amino acids, about a dozen glycosylation sites. It has some homology, by the way, to HIV. And so a lot of people don't know this. But one of the original antigenic vaccines that was tested in Australia exposed that HIV epitope. It turned everybody in the trial HIV positive who took a COVID-19 vaccine in Australia. These young people were outraged. And so this was on the internet. It was quickly suppressed. But if anybody wants to type this in right now, you can actually learn that one of the very first vaccines tried in Australia actually turned everybody HIV positive. They didn't have HIV, but there was a molecular trickery that was going on.
Okay, great question. I'm going to answer it in 2 videos. So first, let's start with this HIV false positive story. So this story comes from a vaccine candidate that was being studied in Australia. This is different from the Pfizer vaccine, Moderna vaccine, or AstraZeneca vaccine. It was a separate vaccine. Basically, they used a protein from HIV that binds to the spike protein of COVID, and this would help generate immunity and antibodies against it. However, the antibodies that were generated from this vaccine actually cross-reacted with HIV tests. Now, these were false positive tests. The patients themselves didn't have HIV. The antibodies produced by the vaccine reacted with the HIV test. Because of this, the vaccine manufacturer halted production of this particular vaccine. They didn't want to degrade trust in the whole vaccine process and make people think that it was giving people HIV. Just to reiterate, it wasn't giving people HIV, but the antibody was cross-reacting with HIV tests, giving people false positives. This is just more proof that the vetting process for vaccines is actually really robust. And if something doesn't work or something isn't right, the vaccine isn't approved for use. Bell's palsy will be next. Okay.
So yeah, what y'all think about that, man? Tell me in the comments. Let me know, y'all. It's a very, very sensitive topic. It's also a real topic, and also an eye-opening topic. You know what I'm saying? That's something that need to be talked about. The reason I did this video because I actually saw a comment that said something like this, and they told me to go deeper. I'm like, all right, if you want me to go deeper, I'll go deeper. And I got a lot more stuff coming out. I might, like I said, I might make this a series and talk about how allegedly the government created the AIDS virus to give to us. You know what I'm saying? There are many theories of how it was created, but majority of people believe that the government created. Also, we're gonna go over some points of how there's actually a cure to HIV, and we can talk about Dr. Sebi a little bit and why he was unalive mysteriously, you know, and because he was known to have the cure and have cured people from the HIV virus. And I know some of y'all probably heard about Nipsey doing a documentary on Dr. Sebi. Some people say that was tied to him actually getting killed, Nipsey, but we don't know that for sure. I think it was just some gang-related stuff. I don't think it had nothing to do with that. But I get what people are saying. But yeah, y'all tell me what y'all think about the video in the comments, man. See you guys next video. Always remember, be safe by your king.
It's only right to share the channel when I use their content. It's only right. Y'all go on over there and subscribe to the channel. Alright? Hit that bell, like bam. That'll pop up and hit all, so you'll be notified when he drop his videos. Peace.